Hello and welcome guys to another track guide, and today we have the Sebring International Raceway in the Radical SR8 for the Racing Prodigy series. I do apologise for this being late. I recorded the hot lap and then forgot to actually post the track guide, so apologies for it being late this week. So let's jump straight into the hot lap and then we'll look at the guide. So coming into the first corner now, it's a very bumpy corner, Sebring, turn one. Now, as you see, this barrier on the right goes away from us and then comes back towards us. And this point here where it changes from going away to coming towards us is basically our braking and kind of our turn-in point as well. So we're kind of using this as our marker. Just a little bit of brake into fourth gear. You can take it in fifth gear, but I found that I got a bit better rotation and acceleration out of the corner using fourth gear. Get as close to this wall as possible, and then as soon as we're seeing that exit, we can fully commit to the throttle. As you see, I go full throttle actually before I even get to the apex. So once you are familiar with turn one and you know when you can commit and where the turn-in point is, that you can get on the power really early. But if you're just getting used to the track, you can just get on power as soon as you see that exit curb. You can use all this blue curb as a runoff. Just be careful that you don't put your wheels onto this gravel stuff, because the car's so loaded, it's very easy to spin if you get onto the gravel. Now, coming into this left-hander here, we're looking for the 3 and the 2 cone, and we're braking about halfway in between them. Shifting all the way into second gear, we want to apex really late here, almost at the end of this blue curb. We only want to either avoid the curb completely or just use a little bit of the curb, because as you can see, it's really high, so it can be very easy to unsettle the car. As you see, I'm just modulating the throttle. I don't actually go up to 100%. I have a little short shift into third, avoiding this curb and trying to apex as late as possible, because we want to be on the right hand side of the track where this little curb is here. At the end of this curb, we're going to tap the brakes. It's about 20-30% brake pressure. And then I'm just using the throttle to rotate the car and apex around about here as late as possible. As soon as we've got that apex nailed and we can see the exit, we get on the power. Be careful with this exit curb. It's really high, this section. This section over here is flat, but this section's quite high, and if you hit it at the wrong angle, you can very easily spin. So try and make sure you basically hit it like this, so you've got both your right tires on it. If you just hit it with your rear right tire, you get a bit of slip angle. It tends to just throw you to the left and spin you out. Now coming into this hairpin, it's a very hard braking zone, so it can be quite easy to lock the brakes, but do remember you're in a high downforce car, so use that downforce. At the top, at the start of the braking, sorry, you've got the most downforce, so you can use the most brake pressure, and then as you slow down you lose your downforce and you want to reduce the brake pressure. So we're looking for the 4 and the 3 cone, and we're starting our braking just between those. As you see, a lot of brake pressure and then just trailing it off into first gear. A little bit of throttle at the same time as the brake I use just to make sure it stays stable. Getting on the power nice and early, and we can use a lot of this curb. Just be careful on the throttle. As you see, I'm just feathering in the throttle because it's very easy to get on the power too aggressively and spin out here. As soon as I've got that wheel straight, I'm then getting full throttle, and you can, if you need to get on the power with a slight bit of steering angle still in, like you're alongside someone or something like that, just short shift into second here. But if you're just taking a normal racing line, as soon as you've got that wheel straight, then get fully on the power. Use a little bit of that curb on the left as well. It's completely flat, so it's fine. Here, just following the curbs. Try not use them because you're so high speed it'll just unsettle the car. Now we're looking for the 3 and we're looking for the 2 board. Sorry, looking for the 4 and the 3, and we're braking just before the 3 board here. So as you see, just before the 3 board, braking down the gears into second gear. Again, we're apexing as late as possible and trying to either avoid this curb completely or just use a little bit, because again, it's a really high curb there. Feathering on the throttle, and we want to short shift for this left-hander here and get into third gear, because if you rev it out too much, especially if you clip a little bit too much of this curb, it can be very easy to lose the rear here. So it's kind of a double apex corner there. You've got that first left-hander and then you've got the second left-hander. If you notice here, the exit of the track is here and then it goes away there. So you almost want to allow the car to drift over to this point because that's the widest part of the track. Don't be exiting the corner here because it's a lot tighter. You want to be exiting over here where it's the wider part of the track. Now coming into this tight right-hander, we want to be on the left-hand side of the track as early as possible so that when we engage the braking for this corner, we are as straight as possible. So we're looking for the 3 and the 2 board, braking about halfway between the 2 boards. You can get really close to this blue curb on the left to open up the corner. You can do this corner in in second gear, but I do it in third gear because it's a lot more stable and you can get on the power a bit more aggressively. Avoiding this curb but getting really close to it on the apex, and then just feathering that throttle and use this exit curb. As soon as you've got that wheel straight, get fully on the power, and just be careful on the gravel there because it's quite easy to pick up a track limit. Now into this left-hander, just clipping all this blue curb nice and flat, let it drift out wide, and then bring it back in and try to be as close to the left as possible. Just gone past that 3 board and we're braking at the 3 board. Into third gear, apexing around about here and just trying to keep the car as stable and as planted as possible. It's quite a high speed section and it's very easy to over push in one corner and then miss out on your exit speed for the next corner. So as you see here, just feathering in the throttle and then bringing it out to about the middle of the track so that we can go really wide for the last corner of this section. So as you see here, I'm aiming to get onto the concrete just after this blue curb. See, cutting a bit of that blue curb, a little bit less throttle, about 50%, and that just means that instead of going all the way up to here and then going there and then going there, I'm not letting it drift out to the right. I'm trying to stick it to the left. So to do that, instead of tapping the brakes here, I'm just lifting to 50%, getting it over to the left, slight tap of the brakes, maybe about 30% or so, just to get the turn in. And you see, just trailing it. As soon as we've got that car turned in, get on the power. You can use a little bit of this blue curb, just be careful not to use too much of it. And then use all of this exit curb, it's nice and flat, so you can use that no problem. Now coming into the final corner, there's a number of lines that you can take. You can either hold it to the right, hold it tight, or what I usually do with the prototype cars that I learned from a teammate is we're braking halfway between the 2 and the 1 board, and we're basically aiming to go as wide as possible, so basically all the way to this white line, into 4th gear, down to 3rd gear, and just trailing the brakes, not on the throttle, just letting the car roll around the corner, and then just before we get to the bridge, we're getting on the power again, just seeing how much grip we've got there, just a little bit more steering if it's got the grip, if it's not, just straightening up the steering wheel, because it's so bumpy here, even with just slightly different track conditions, what you can do in one session compared to another session might be very different with this final corner. Get on that power, and make sure you use all this exit curb. The track limit is not this white line on the exit, it's the wall. If you hit that, then that's the end of your lap. So make sure you use all of this. Just be careful when you're racing someone that if you get pushed to the outside here, remember that that white tyre wall's there. So this bit of the track goes very narrow all of a sudden. So if you're racing someone and you're on the outside, do remember that unless they let you back over to the right, which they should, you will have to back out, otherwise you'll go straight into that white wall. But when you're hot lapping, just use all that track on the exit there. And there you go. That is a lap of Sebring International. I do apologise again, guys, for this track guide being so late, but I'll try and make sure the next one is up a bit earlier for you guys. As always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you again next time.